So I just finished watching We Can Be Heroes, which is like a Sharkboy Lavagirl sequel. It's as campy and cheesy as Sharkboy and Lavagirl. Though Lavagirl, she is looking fine in that outfit. Oh, oh. Um, but the movie it was a cute movie. It's I like the kind of movies where you have kids or people with superpowers, and while they have an idea how to use them, they're not fully able to grasp. Like Wild Card, he's basically the ultimate one here. He can do anything he wants, but he can't control it. So his power is just kind of random. But once he's able to harness and focus, he can basically do whatever the fuck he wants. If he wants to fly, he can fly. If he wants to teleport, he can teleport. If he wants to fucking Thanos everyone out of existence, he could probably do that too. Um, but they all have names that aren't real names. They all just kind of go by their hero name. Except for Missy. I think Missy is actually her real name. Missy, she has no powers. Missy is her right here. And then we have Guppy right there, who is the daughter of Sharkboy and Lavagirl. And they did our boy Sharkboy like dirty in this movie. You know, remember how in the original movie he was able to talk, and this movie I don't think he has one line. He doesn't speak at all. Easiest, however much money this dude made. He just kind of was there. Lava Girl did stuff and she talked, but Shark Boy, and no, it wasn't Taylor Lautner. It was like some other guy, which Taylor, that would have been the easiest money you've ever made. Seriously, there's no real acting involved. You just kind of stood there and listened to what everyone else was saying. But no, you have Guppy, so her power is she can, you can see she's got this little water shark made. So she can manipulate water instead of manipulating, lava and stuff like her mom. But then she's got that shark frenzy thing, which is, I think, hilarious. I really would have loved to see this little girl. Of course, she wouldn't do it because of the rating of the movie. But if there was a more adult version, like a rated R version, I would love to see this. I think she's like 6 years old. I would love to see this kid go into this shark frenzy and just dig her face into people's faces and chest. Like grow tiny little teeth, move around like a little fucking shark, and just tear into them. But no, she like puts on these glasses, like these sunglasses, and like she's super strong and everything. But I would love to see this little tiny 6-year-old tear into some person who underestimates her or something. Then we have Wheels. Yes, that's his name, Wheels, which is rather unfortunate. Back in the day, if you guys remember, back in the 80s and 90s, with Burger King, they had one of those characters, to try to appeal to the kids. He was also in a wheelchair, and his name was also Wheels. Great naming, guys. You couldn't give him, I don't know, tire tracks, or, so his power is, his legs are actually super strong. Like, his muscles are incredibly strong, but his bones and his legs aren't capable of withstanding the strength of it, so he sits in this wheelchair. So they could have called him Power Legs. They could have called him Kicks. They could have called him Speedway. They could have called him Drive By. But no, they went with fucking Wheels. Let's just call the kid in the wheelchair fucking Wheels. But he's kind of like a techie as well. He's got his little computer thing that he can pull up, and incredibly smart and stuff like that. And then you've got the brother and sister duo, who they're forming hand signs, thinking they're fucking ninjas. Just So you've got fast forward and slow, fast forward, rewind. Try to guess what their powers are. So she can obviously fast forward stuff by, it's kind of like Hit in Dragon Ball Super, how she can kind of makes time jump into the, a few seconds into the future. And slow rewind can obviously rewind. They don't like each other very much, despite the fact that they're siblings. But when they work together, they obviously get even stronger. You have Acapella, who changed the range of her voice depending on what she does with it. She can do different things. If she goes really, really low, she can somehow make things hover and float or fly. And then she can get high enough to where you don't hear a damn thing, but then the animals outside are going fucking crazy. I also like her because when she starts singing, she just starts singing like random songs. Again, like I said, we have Wild Card. Ojo is kind of like, she's not good, she's not bad, but she is able to kind of draw out the future. Of course, I don't want to give too much away about her if you haven't seen the movie. I would recommend watching the movie. It really is it's a good movie. Apart from the fact that Pedro Pascal's in it, I can't stand that asshole anymore. But her and her mom, by the name of Miss Granada, they are not human. And God, her mom is I forget her actual name, but it's what, Nick Jonas or one of the Jonas Brothers' wives. Really beautiful woman. And in the movie, her acting, I think it's supposed to come off as campy and bad because they're not human. We see like the president talking, and I think it was Wheels who said something about, oh, they elected this guy, he can't even form two sentences. And this, keep in mind, I think this was like 2020. I think we also had another president who could barely form two sentences. But her mom, again, they're not human. And the president is, everything's explained. But yeah, she doesn't talk until like the very end. And it's like, wait a minute, I thought you couldn't talk. She's like, oh, I've been able to talk. It's just I've been observing. Again, I'm not going to give the whole thing away. Again, it's a twist within a twist. If you don't understand what that means, go watch it. And then you have Facemaker, who is, I guess he's like the shapeshifter. He can change his face to look like other people. He pulls the Luffy, like, I'm a rubber man. He can stretch his face out really. So he pulls a Luffy. You have slow-mo, which, I'm sorry. Like, he goes in slow-mo. It said that he's going so fast, but his body's like trapped in like a time warp kind of thing. But he's just like, so everyone has to help him along. Like, come on, we've got like 10 seconds left. Please hurry up. And then we have Noodle, who is like Mr. Fantastic. He's got the stretchy abilities. And the whole point of the movie is, the heroes are kind of defeated by the bad guys. And it's up to this ragtag team of young heroes led by a girl who has no powers whatsoever, to go to the rescue of their parents. And it's what you would expect. With the writing, it's basically modern day writing. These kids are given lines that no kid would actually fucking say. I think these kids are supposed to be like 12, 13. And they don't speak like kids. They speak like adults, and it just kind of throws things off sometimes. If you've basically seen any movie within the last 5-10 years, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Whether it's movies, TV shows, whatever, they always try to make these kids sound like they're adults, using phrases or words that no kid would actually know. Um, you know, but I like these kinds of stories where it's like, oh well, the heroes have been defeated, and now it's up to the kids. But they don't really have complete control of their powers, and then not only that, they have to work together. So, well, how do we do that? They go to her grandma after they bust out of the headquarters where they are. The kind of like I guess it's kind of like a school for them, because they're there when their parents are gone and all that. And they've got like a little classroom type thing set up for them. But the alien invasion happens and they break out, and they go to her grandma's house, or rather, they don't end up there on purpose. They accidentally end up there. Or no, rather, they do end up there on purpose, because as they're hurling themselves through the sky in a little bus thing, she kind of wants them to change direction, and they end up crashing into her grandmother's gazebo. It was a nice gazebo. And her grandmother is the one who's like trained all the heroes. And so they kind of do like a little training montage sort of thing. We get like a little song during it. And yeah, they get up to the point where they kind of understand their powers a little more. They understand each other a little more. They get into a spare ship that the aliens have left, and they go up to the mothership where all the parents are being held. And yeah, what's that? They get captured, of course. Of course they do. They get thrown into a kind of like a room where they kind of have to figure out how to survive now. Miss Granada is kind of revealed to be evil. Again, evil. And it's so stupid. It really is. And again, they kind of show the kids, then they show the adults. And again, Sharkboy doesn't say anything. I think there's like a few parents that don't actually say anything. And it's like, wow, why even have them? I mean, I get some of the other characters, but Sharkboy, he doesn't say a word. He just kind of nods and smiles and maybe like grunts or... I mean, is there a reason why Sharkboy doesn't talk? I don't know. He talked in the first movie. So I actually looked it up just now, and Taylor Lautner didn't return as Sharkboy, essentially because the role wasn't big enough. He didn't talk because, according to the guy, I think, who made it, it's not about the parents, it's about the kids, which is weird because Lavagirl gets to speak. Why doesn't Sharkboy? But yeah, Taylor Lautner didn't return because it just wasn't a big enough role. But geez, dude, you could have made money and didn't have to do a damn thing. You could have just stood there, looking like your Taylor Lautner self, maybe taking your shirt off, reminiscent of those old Twilight days. Easiest paycheck you could have had, buddy. But now where was I? Oh yeah, they get captured, and then they have to work together to kind of not only get out of the situation they're in with this room that they're locked in now, but also having to find their parents. Now this is the moment where Wildcard gets to kind of finally learn how to use his powers. It's like, oh, I've been trying to do it for everyone else, but instead I should be doing it for me. So he uses a lot of powers. First, before he harnesses his powers, he ends up turning himself into a toaster. And of course, you know what they say, all toasters toast toast. And when he turns into a toaster, some toast pops up. I'm like, what the fuck? He turns into a toaster. Okay. But why is there fucking toast popping out already? Um, this is what I mean when I said it was stupid. It's funny, but it's stupid. The effects are about as what you would expect from a movie like this. I mean, it's for kids, so you can't really expect much. I mean, it's a little bit of a step up as opposed to like Sharkboy and Lavagirl. Remember how bad those effects were? Of course, that was 15 years ago. Can you fuck 15 years ago? 15 years ago. 15 very long years. But they eventually do hatch a plan to kind of escape, and you know there's like this little fight scene between them and the aliens and the bad people. And then we get this reveal about Ojo, and like I said, that's when you know she's been silent and she starts speaking, and they're like, wait a minute, you can speak? She's like, I've been able to speak the whole time. I've just been observing you. And then for some reason, you know, this tablet, this iPad that she's been carrying around and drawing out her little like future, like these premonitions. She's now able to go like Sai or Inojin, you know, from Boruto, or Sai's from Naruto, but Inojin from Boruto, and somehow she's like able to draw on this iPad, and whatever she's drawing, she can just like pull off the screen and turn into a real monster. So I'm like, oh, so we've got them doing this. We've got her drawing fucking, and you know, sending monsters after them. Surprised she didn't create some fucking bird to fly around on. I mean, they were inside, so it wouldn't have been any good. And without giving too much away, again, because it's a fun movie, so I would say watch it. The heroes save the day. You know, they all kind of learn to harness their powers, and you know, Wildcard, same thing. He's dishing out electric fingers and frost rays, and he's teleporting, he's flying, he's, you know, so this kid could probably whoop the shit out of Superman. It's like people were like, Goku versus Superman. No, this dude was like, well, you know, my favorite power, taking away other people's powers. Zap. It could happen. But yeah, and then there's that big reveal at the end, and all's well that ends well. The families are reunited, and the day is saved thanks to these kids, led by a girl who has no powers at all. But as her father said something about living by example, or, you know, whatever the fuck he said. It's Pedro Pascal. I really didn't give a shit what he said. But all in all, it's a cute movie. Even though the guy said that's not really a Sharkboy Lavagirl sequel, it kind of is. It takes place however many years after. Sharkboy and Lavagirl are there, though they don't have much of a role to play. Rather, Sharkboy doesn't. He doesn't talk. Again, Lavagirl does. But so the good and the bad, I think the good is that it's fun to watch. You know, the kids and their superpowers were fun to watch. Watching this kid create stuff out of water. You know, she's making fucking shurikens out of water. She eventually creates like this massive metallic shark, because in order for her to create water, she needs hydration. So she's constantly drinking water. But once they're up in the ship, she gets her water bottle taken away. But then during the final battle, there's this giant pyramid type thing. It's made of like liquid metal. So she's able to harness that, and she makes this giant fucking liquid metal shark. And it's pretty cool. I mean, the effect is dopey, but this, the idea of, you know, thinking about this thing actually being there would have been really cool. So watching her kind of use those powers and telling her like, oh, you need to learn how to be more calm, because she'll go into that shark frenzy thing out of nowhere. So it's, you see her sometimes like from the training to like being on the ship, she's sitting there like meditating. Um, the whole thing with Wild Card kind of learning to harness his powers, and it's like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this for other people. I should be doing it for me. Instead of worrying about the other people believing in me, I should be believing in myself. That sort of thing. Fast forward and rewind, working together as brother and sister as they should have been this entire time. Slow-mo gets his moment where fast forward and rewind kind of help him move faster, so they can kind of fight the aliens that are going on. So they all get their own moment, especially with Facemaker. He gets a great moment. Acapella, same thing. But the good thing, I like the powers. They're interesting enough. The story's okay. This whole idea of what they were trying to set up, you guys are the next generation. You're inheriting your parents' problems and their enemies, and you have to be prepared for when they're not here anymore. And, it's a great story. It's a great message of whether heroes or real life, you're inheriting your parents' problems. You need to be ready for the real world and ready to navigate it when your parents aren't there anymore. So the story, the powers, it's fun. The way they interact with each other, a lot of it does feel genuine because obviously they're kids, but the dialogue does kind of take away from it sometimes because, again, it's modern writing. This was like 2020. So they are given a lot of lines that don't sound like they would come out of the mouth of a child, but there they are, speaking like adults somehow. Even the effects were as cheesy as they were. They were fun. The downsides of the movie: Pedro Pascal. Can't stand the guy. Can't stand the guy. Ojo's mom, Miss Granada. Oh, she's not the downside. God, I can. She is fucking gorgeous. She is gorgeous. They have these, because they're aliens. They've got these purple tentacle things that they can use, and it's like she can fucking use those tentacles on me anytime. She pulls those out. I'll be like, I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. But yeah, I think Pedro Pascal is probably the only downside I can think of. I don't like him. I'm so tired of the guy. I'm so tired of him. I can't stand looking at him anymore. I can't. There's sometimes in life where people just get on your nerves in Hollywood, where they keep trying and trying to push someone over and over, and you see them everywhere. They're in commercials, they're in movies, TV shows, they're selling condoms, or I don't know. It's probably not selling condoms. I don't really know. I wouldn't be surprised if they're selling condoms with his face slapped on it. Because nothing will turn you off more than the face of Pedro Pascal. Safe sex, everyone. Stay safe, my friends. But all in all, it was a fun movie. I've seen clips of it like going around online recently for whatever reason, and I was like, well, okay, let me watch it. It was fun. It was like an hour and some odd minutes, but if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. Just expect when you go in, it's cheesy, modern day writing with the kids trying to talk like adults. Cheesy effects. Definitely a step up from Lavagirl and Sharkboy, but still cheesy effects. Some of the acting is a little over the top, especially with Granada. But again, they're aliens. They're trying to blend in, but not doing a very good job at it. But yeah, give it a watch. But yeah, that's going to do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.